A year ago today, this is February 2022, the weekend of the Super Bowl, but also the weekend to date, 1 year ago, when Kevin Bickford started retaliating, and apparently so did Department of Children and Family Services, the Attorney General, Jeffrey Noyce, and a few others involved. And here's why. You see, a year ago to date, this being February 12th, 2022, there was a conversation between myself and social workers from DCF, okay? And noting that I called them and I briefed them on a situation to reveal the situation of the abuse and the neglect, as well as all the lies and the cover-ups committed by the people that you're going to hear about in the next part of the video. That would be Michael Hatton. I've still got that on record. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was my call to DCF back in February in regards to the abuse that was taking place against my daughter and my grandson, as well as myself. Now in April, okay, actually February, I think it was the 22nd, that there were these reports written against me, and Brianna's signature was forged onto a protection from abuse order, okay? And there was one against me on Kevin's behalf to include Brianna and my grandson, a restraining order, okay? So first of all, Kevin is not married to my daughter, so therefore he has no business including my daughter in his report about anything. Brianna brought that to the attention of who? Her court-appointed attorney, as well as the state's attorney. So that would be Vincent Aluzzi, and the court-appointed attorney being who? Deborah Wilson. Now Laura Wilson, excuse me, Deborah. I got her on my mind as well. Okay, so that would be Deborah Buckman. Okay, so now, knowing that Laura Wilson was requested, Brianna faxed a letter requesting that her name be taken out of any kind of no contact order. This is back in February, folks, okay? So, with that being said, it's still in place. Why? Because this is the first call that initiated them retaliating, them being the state of Vermont, DCF workers being disciples of the government, okay? Jeffrey Noyce, you hear? After this happened, not even days after this happened, Jeffrey Noyce approached me in front of the Dollar General in Island Pond, Vermont. He was coming out the door. He started walking to the right by the red box, and the attorney says, "Hey, Kim, you got a minute?" he turned back towards the left and he started walking straight. Well, he wasn't walking straight. He was at a diagonal walking to me while I was standing there. Noting that there's cameras, I stood right there at the walkway with my service dog. Mind you, this is when you're supposed to be all masked up, right, Vermont? Okay? Jeffrey Noyce came up to me and was close enough that you couldn't slide paper. And he was fumbling with something in his pocket, like he was looking for something to what? Were you trying to tase me, mace me or something, Jeff? I just want to know. And yeah, another fucking Jeff, okay? He is not happy with me because he's friends with Jeffrey Hare, and I brought them all to light. Now I brought it to light about Jeffrey Noyce threatening my life. I filed against him. They didn't do anything about it. I have filed against Kevin. I've got a restraining order against Kevin. And all of what you just heard, you're going to hear in the restraining order. It's actually already on video here. So if you look back through my videos and you see something labeled restraining order, listen to it. That's the judge making decision against this guy that I'm complaining about abusing my daughter and my grandson. Just so you know, this has led up to the state of Vermont frivolously charging my daughter, involuntarily shooting her up with medications. I don't care what anybody says. You listen to the other stories about this happening. Look up the lady that is fighting for her son who was injustifiably shot up with medications called ketamine. The same thing they did to my daughter. Look up the drug and you're going to find out that's what they've done. Okay? So noting that that has happened and we reported it and nothing was done about it. We're going to hear more.
Started to make a complaint on the other day against a Kevin Bickford in Highland County, Vermont. Are you saying that you previously called and tried to make a report with DCF? Yes, ma'am. In regards to Kevin neglecting and verbally, emotionally abusing my grandson, who is not even 13 months old. And another incident this morning, approximately 9 o'clock, Kevin being totally emotionally and mentally distraught, and I believe it can be seen on a video camera outside an apartment building. From this morning when he was going totally stupid, looking up into my bathroom window, flipping me off and yelling, "She's got a gun, call the cops." And then he came.
Now, I want you all to know that's been verified in a restraining order that I have previously added as video. Okay? The restraining order is on my behalf against Kevin because he continued to violate me. The police in the state of Vermont kept on violating me by trying to come at me and arrest me for something that Kevin was lying about. And instead of arresting me, they came to my home a month later, which we're getting to, with a search warrant. They searched what? Not a goddamn thing. Okay? So we're going to get to that.
Storming up the stairs from outside to the third floor. Yeah, he's tending to my grandson. I've never had a gun since I was 18 years old. I am mentally stable. And I don't believe that my grandson or my daughter should be subjected to this. He has abused my daughter in the past. They've got domestic charges in the previous situations. And
why didn't Laura Wilson do anything about that?
He lives upstairs, and the state pays him to live downstairs with his mother or his brother. Okay, they both have apartments down there, but Kevin doesn't live downstairs.
What you just heard there, Kevin doesn't live downstairs. The state, that would be general assistance through Department of Health and Human Services paying $198 to my landlord and Brianna's landlord. Now, we both had leases signed. Mine wasn't up until October of 21, but I got locked out of my apartment in June. They tried locking me out the week of Memorial, okay? But that didn't happen because I went back home and I found a note in my door. But anyways, we're going to get to that. So, noting that you just heard that Kevin does not live there, okay? He was known to be a squatter. verified by Essex County Sheriff's Department that Kevin was obviously squatting. He was not a legal resident or tenant of 109 Railroad Street, also known as the Beehive. He was couch surfing, and I also will be sharing with you the video and audio to that proves the landlord, his wife, she even said she didn't know if Mike could do anything or what he could do, because why? The cops obviously weren't doing their jobs. Now, we're going to share that video with you along the way, okay? But let's listen to some more of this.
Stays wherever he wants to at nighttime, but all day long he's upstairs badgering my daughter and playing video games and yelling at my grandson. And the landlord lies and says that he knows that Kevin lives downstairs, but he knows Kevin doesn't sleep downstairs. I don't sleep in my daughter's bed, but I know who does.
That would be my grandson. Only because I can hear him when he's playing with his mama.
Northeast Kingdom Human Services, and I'm not upset. Let's clarify that, and I am recording this call. I have the right to be a mandated grandmother as a reporter. A mandated reporter, excuse me, by being a grandmother. I have concerns. It's not about being upset.
Yeah, I make mistakes too.
And when it's my family, I have the right to make sure that they're protected.
Damn straight I do.
My name is Kimberly.
So we're going to get to that.
Nothing that I can't record. And that will be KI. No, they can email me. They took my children from me unjustifiably back in 2007, and I know that they don't want to talk to me because I have filed many lawsuits in federal court against them. But if they're going to take mine unjustifiably, I'm requesting that they do something about someone who's actually verbally and emotionally abusing my daughter and my grandson. And I was on the phone with Northeast Kingdom Human Services emergency call this morning. They could verify from the time that I called them till the time we hung up 45 minutes later that Kevin was vindictively having a piercing noise similar to what might be coming from a speaker with interference. Piercing so loud that it was going from one end of my daughter's apartment across the hall all the way through my apartment, noting that there is a 2-year-old in that apartment that has a hearing problem, and my grandson, not even 13 months old. So if I can hear it and it interferes with the pacemaker that I have in my chest, then I know darn well it must be interfering with my grandbaby and Trinity's hearing.
Trinity would be Aaron's daughter, the cousin of my grandson.
What she should be able to do without having to worry about her son being neglected and abandoned by his father, his needs being abandoned.
Which is abuse.
Every time the kid starts to cry, he will turn up the music so that it drowns out and yells at him and says, "Kobe, shut up." I don't appreciate that. My grandson isn't going to be brought up in a situation like that if I can help it. And I know my daughter and my grandson and I have constitutional rights as humans and our disability rights, and they're all being neglected and ignored.
That's part 1. Watch for part 2 because I'm just breaking it up so that we get it all in. But I want you to know, after I made that call, Vermont State Police and adult protectives came knocking on my door because somebody in the system gave out confidential information. Or was it Kevin listening in on the conversation? So with that being said, all of these charges that we're going to get to, because I'm going to read them to you, I'm going to show them to you, and I'm going to reload the video that proves what I tell you is the truth.